Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me okay this morning? Looks like it. Okay, great. My name's Gill Brown. I'm the VP of Advertiser Network Sales for LookSmart. Been in the business for quite some time now, and I'll go in a little bit into myself and my background, but I wanted to thank you all for coming out today to hear me speak a little bit on uncovering some advanced paid search strategies. So it's a topic near and dear to my heart. I've been in search for quite some time now, and LookSmart a couple of years, and I hope you guys get some things out of it, and that we have a really good Q&A as well. To remind you about the Q&A, when you guys have questions or anything, I'm sure you've been in some of the other sessions before. We're able to use Twitter and get text link and get text questions and everything like that. So at the right time, when we get to the end of the presentation today, I invite you all to submit your questions this way, and we can have a great open forum and dialogue, hopefully. So to get started, as I said, I'm with LookSmart, and I wanted to give you a little background on LookSmart itself. It's an industry veteran company. We're one of the largest pay-per-click search advertising networks out there. We actually see over 2 billion queries every day come through LookSmart's Ad Center platform in our system. So we see a very broad range of queries from all over the web and all types of sources of queries. We serve keyword-based text ads on our targeted network of publisher sites, and they vary from some of the very highest of quality to some places where you can get huge volumes of traffic for very low CPCs. We support the direct relationships with thousands of our diverse paid search advertisers, and our expertise at LookSmart is really grounded in connecting these advertisers with the right type of quality traffic to meet their goals, basically, in the simplest form. We stand apart from a lot of the other networks because we've really taken a stand, and some of you who read the press know that LookSmart has put a quality manifesto out into the marketplace a couple months back, and really understand that quality is #1 in terms of where Tier 2s need to go and what advertisers and search marketers like yourselves expect us to be delivering for you. We possess the experience, the technology, and the dedication to meet or exceed our advertiser and publisher partners' goals. We were basically started back in 1997. We were one of the pioneers in the search marketplace. I got my start early on in GoTo.com back in 2000, so LookSmart predates me. And for those of you who remember, LookSmart for many years powered the directory or algorithmic search listings on Microsoft search engines. And at that time, back in 2003, the company was very, very large at that point. And had a huge number of employees, very large footprint all over the country. Went on IPO'd in 1999. And as many remember, we had a shakeout where Microsoft decided, and much has happened since then, to go their own way with creating their listings. And at that point, diverged paths from LookSmart providing that service, and LookSmart was reborn as a PPC search advertising network. We are publicly traded, so you can look us up on the NASDAQ, LOOK. We have about 70 employees based primarily in San Francisco, New York, and a London presence as well. As for me, so you know who's talking to you, I'm the LookSmart Advertising Network Sales Vice President, so I run sales of both the technology platform and all of the advertising products that we sell. I've been in advertising sales my entire career. Started out in radio and moved into the internet in the mid-90s, and search particularly in the year 2000 and joining GoTo. Stayed there for about 7.5, 8 years, and then joined LookSmart just 2 years ago. So I've had about 9 years in total paid search experience. I'm going to talk about 3 main topics today that I wanted to go through with everybody. First, getting started, the search basics. I've been in search a long time, and every time I look through people's accounts, every time I look through people's keywords, lists, titles, descriptions, all kinds of things, I see things that kind of make me cringe a little, because I think in a lot of cases people forget the basics. Once you get things rolling and you get so busy getting leads in, optimizing different things, a lot of us end up forgetting some of the basic things that really make search hum along. And we'll go through some of those, not in huge depth today, but I like to remind people of some of the things that, if you haven't done it in a while, go back and look through your accounts, refresh those titles and descriptions, make sure your landing pages are looking great and have the product and a feature on them that you want. So we'll go through some of that. As you advance down your paid search practices and go beyond what are now the big two search engines, I wanted to give you guys an introduction to what search ad networks are. I get a lot of questions all the time about what it means, what does Tier 2 mean, what do you guys do, how do you do it, and I think it's important for marketers to understand what the opportunity is in this space and how to go about working with additional new vendors now that a lot of folks have time with only two major platforms to be managing off of now to expand what they're doing and have a little extra bandwidth to go out and explore and find additional leads and sales out there. And then thirdly, I want to go through some very important parts of how to vet new potential partners in this space. Questions to ask, things to be concerned about, and give you guys a starter, a primer to be able to go back out there after this and say, boy, now I know kind of what I'm looking for. I understand what some of the pitfalls could potentially be, how to maybe avoid some of them, and when I'm going out and looking to talk to a new potential vendor to work with my business, what should I be looking for from them in this space? What should I be asking them for? Let's get into it. As we look at getting started in Search Basics, I go back to keyword selection. It's one of the most important things. How did you generate your keyword list? Are you constantly looking to update and refresh that keyword list? Understand that PPC search, and most of you probably do, is different than SEO and different than the organic. Having strong and powerful words in that copy, things like buy, fix, cure, all those kind of buzzwords are calls to action that can be subtle, but when combined correctly in a title and description, work really well that way. And PPC search gives you the opportunity to be able to focus on long tail, to understand where your queries are coming from on your pages where you're selling and generating leads. Take a look at what those queries were and then be able to go back out and instead of hope that an SEO activities gets you better relevance on some of those queries, use that PPC area to be able to then buy those terms and manage them correctly because you know they will generate leads for you when they are utilized correctly. When you're going out and selecting keywords, one good trick a lot of people like to use is to scrape your competitor sites. Look at what your competition is doing and what kind of buzzwords and keywords they have on their pages as well. You may have them too, but they may be helpful as well as putting them into your keyword list. And then one that I really like is SpyFu, but there's a lot of free tools or inexpensive tools out there and sites that can really help you build out your business in this area in terms of keyword lists, understanding the competitive set, understanding search volumes. SpyFu, I mentioned, is one of my favorites. Old-timer people might remember the search term suggestion tool that Overture had for many years was a great tool. Traffic Travis, Word Tracker, the Google keyword tool. There's a lot of resources out there if you go look for them that can help you create keyword lists, refine keyword lists, expand your keyword lists, in addition to hopefully getting that kind of assistance from an account management and editorial resources with a vendor you're choosing to work with at the time. Ad copy. This is one of the biggest things that I see when I'm working with advertisers and talking with advertisers, and then when I go and look to optimize their accounts, is remembering some of the basics about it, but also that you want that call to action in there. There's some standard text and character limits that are pretty much pervasive in the industry now. I've listed them up there. They vary slightly, maybe engine to engine, but overall, these are the basic specs you're going to be able to utilize when creating ad copy for your PPC keywords. Make sure that the target market is looking, the keywords that your target market is looking for are in that ad copy. So many times, and I always relate this to myself, when I'm doing a keyword search, personal things, and I go through the listings, I just start at the top naturally, even though I've been in all these years in the business, and I know what I'm searching for, and I just start reading the titles and descriptions, and it's really that one that calls out to me that they understand what I've searched for because they basically have put it back into that title, as long as you've got the character limits. But that's where I really get a call out, and that's where research has shown there's a good call out. So it's important to be sure you make that in there. And then make your offer very clear. So many times people say, hey, I'm getting a lot of clicks, but then they click back immediately, things like that. Well, once we go in and really look at how they're running their campaigns and what their creative says, they're kind of getting a lot of CTR out of things, but they're not being as clear as they can about what the advert or the user is going to get when they go to that page. And so when a user goes somewhere, thinks maybe they're getting one type of an offer, but they're getting something else, or see very different type of copy, different types of call to action than they were expecting to get, you get a high bounce coming back. Those are some of the things that, by doing that in your titles and descriptions, really helps clarify what the user can expect to get there, helps get your CTR a little bit better, but also, this thing wants to keep restarting, but also make sure that when they do get there, they're the most qualified they can be at that point that you've got them through. They understand what they're going through to do. Either generate a lead by filling something out, providing their email address, signing up to get more information. They understand that that's the action they're going to be taking. They go there, they see the expected action, and then they take it. Part of getting started also is the landing page experience. It's especially important as you look at selling things and generating leads. It's not more of a publisher-based experience where people are going to wander all over and look for articles and dig in and find things. When people are shopping and they have a very specific item in mind, let's say, or they're looking to get more information about insurance or whatever that might be, what they tend to do is go to the landing page and want to see that information right there. And so some of the biggest things that I see over the years and still today is having uncluttered, uncomplicated landing pages and simple registration. Keep it basic. You know, a clean and simple call to action on that page is what's going to get the best result for the advertiser out there. Fulfill the promise. Make sure that you have ad copy, titles, and descriptions that correspond to where you're sending someone. There's no worse experience for a user than to think they're going to a page where they can buy a specific B vitamin, let's say. And then they get to that page, and it's just a start page to search for all types of different vitamins. Instead of linking very specifically, it's good use of the tail. Place that key copy and offer call to action above the fold on the page. Don't make them go hunt for things once they land on the page that you have them directed to. Make it as easy as possible for them to be able to implement what you want to have happen. And one thing I find is avoid the use of the word submit. Go for something more like buy, get info, calls to action like that so people understand exactly what they're going to be doing there. I wanted to pull out just a great example, and I promised I'm the sales guy, not the the marketing people made me promise not to use any examples from LookSmart. So I found a great Google example. The users typed in find online colleges. Very simple. As you go through there, you see that we've got the third listing has a very nice title and description. Top online colleges. Speaks very well to what that user is looking for. Browse 100+ affordable accredited online colleges. 1,000+ degrees. As the user then decides, hey, that's the right listing for me, as I wanted to find online colleges, they have a number of them available and I can look through them. I'm landed on a great corresponding landing page that has a very simple call to action. It needs just a little bit of information, so not a huge submission form that can deter a lot of people in the beginning stages when they're going after especially lead generation. Just looking for age, level of education, what that area of interest is that they have, and then get their email address so you can capture that lead and follow up with them effectively. One thing to always keep in mind, as most of you have learned over the years in terms of doing Tier 1 search, the proprietary marketplace, higher CPCs generally lead to putting your ads much higher up in the rankings, leading to far more click-throughs and conversions. It works the same in any of the other fields as well in the Tier 2 space. The lower the CPC, the fewer people are going to go 2 or 3 pages deep to see those ads. So make sure that you're effectively managing your bids on the keywords, especially that are driving the right traffic that converts for you, to be high enough in those listings while still maintaining your ROI. Because the higher you go in the listings, the more you generate in terms of traffic to your site, and then ideally more sales and more leads that convert for you. Testing. So many advertisers forget and seem to and just not do it anymore. Yet a platform like ours and most other platforms have some of the most basic forms of copy testing that are out there in the direct marketing space, which is really what we're all in. A/B copy testing is key. Being able to set up and make sure you're optimizing not just for the best CTR, but you can also look and work with systems that will allow you to have optimizations if you have pixels embedded or you're sharing information through an API that optimizes your creative to the best conversion rate as well. So there's two different ways you can go about doing that, but it's incredibly important. Don't let things get stale. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people have the same listing and they've been using it for 2, 3, 4 years. They never turn it over. They never try something new. Tweak the word order. Mix it up a little bit, but continuously do A/B copy testing at a bare minimum. And if you can get conversion testing in there so that you're not only getting the best copy out there, but you make sure you're actually getting the best back-end results out of what you're doing, that's the optimum way to go about it. But a lot of people have forgotten, it seems to me over years, just how important it is to have multiple types of creative running and constantly be tweaking to get the higher CTR and higher conversion rate out of your keyword copy in the ads. Again, the key metrics to look at there are the click-through rates and, if possible, conversion rates. And then use analytics. I know there's other sessions in here on certain analytical platforms, and some of them are free, some of them come with a fee to them, but making good use of your analytics. You've gone through the trouble to set them up or tag these pages to understand what's going on. Make sure you're really using them. And one other part of that is sharing data. I've been in the business a long time, and a lot of people consider some of their data proprietary, my conversion data, things like that. I get that, but I also know that for many systems, my own included right now, the ability to share conversion data, where these conversions are coming from, can really help me as a vendor, help the advertiser much more by honing in on those specific traffic sources that I have and being able to beef up bids and things on a granular level to make their campaigns work even better for them. So see what you can do in terms of sharing, but most importantly, always know how your stuff is performing and make good use of the analytics platforms that are out there. So you've mastered the basics at this point. You're running on the couple big engines that are out there, the two big platforms now, not the big three anymore. So what's next? It's the ad networks. It's folks like LookSmart that I represent, as well as some others out there that have a lot of traffic out there that is not being looked at by Google or Bing Yahoo right now in terms of being able to list your ads against. So I wanted to give you guys some information on that, as well as then follow that up in the end with some great questions on how to vet them. So a market structure, what is a search ad network? A lot of people ask me. It's a PPC-based auction network where qualified users go and end up doing searches on a number of different sites out there. We are, at LookSmart and many others, are non-proprietary, and I'll show you in a minute what that means, but we don't actually control the source of the queries. We're a syndicator in the middle. So when people downstream that we work with, publishers, have queries that occur on their sites, they send us those queries, and we're then sending back results to them to display on their pages from our advertisers. We give the opportunity at non-proprietary to help monetize the traffic that doesn't originate on the big three, now the big two, other platforms out there. So it's an opportunity to kind of get out there and see what else is out there available to you to bring more leads out of and more sales out of every day. There's a lot of different types of traffic that we see every day and that we manage through a large aggregator relationships that we have with people downstream. But it comes from all sorts of origins. It can be search boxes, toolbars, domain straight navigation, email messaging, contextual type placements, social media. There's all sorts of different places that all these queries can come from. And the job of a PPC search network like ourselves is to help filter through those queries and expose your company, your ads, to the right types of queries in there that get you the results you need. Why is it important? Because actually non-proprietary search can make up a considerable part of what's going on out in the marketplace today. On the one side, the smaller pie you see from back in 2005, it was about 23% of the total marketplace was search business that was non-proprietary. It was not originated on the page at Google, Microsoft, or Yahoo. It's all this other stuff that's out there that these companies in the Tier 2 space help look at and monetize, control, and package up correctly. That's continued on as we've moved into the bigger marketplaces, and these numbers are a little old, but you see that the share is still there. Almost 20% of that marketplace is still moving towards non-proprietary search. search or query opportunities that are generated beyond someone typing a keyword into Google, Microsoft, or Yahoo and getting a search result back from those guys. So it is a large market. There's a big opportunity out there for advertisers to take advantage of it and work with vendors in the marketplace that have different traffic sources out there to really wring things out of this networks and get more out of what they're doing beyond the big 2 and 3. Restart. So how does a search network fit into the overall landscape? Because obviously we all know there's tons of different types of networks out there, and many of us work with a bunch of them. Well, versus a display network, they tend to have a higher effective CPM than overall display networks, or display networks have a higher CPM when you look at it from those terms in terms of number of ads than a network, a PPC network. There's a targeting advantage right now. As well as display is helping to adapt that to retargeting. And a lot of people right now are looking at how do we utilize search retargeting in the display space. So big difference there. And then, of course, it's display. It's banners. It's not. It's a visual medium. It's not a text-based medium, a search-based medium. Versus the CPA networks, most of the tier 2s beyond that have a much broader reach or higher volume potential because of the limited amount of publishers out there that will accept CPA type deals. So we're able to see those, but we also, beyond the CPA networks, have access to all the other ones that will take CPC as well. So it gives us a much broader look at all the queries that are out there and the ability to match up the ads to the right ones that are going to be able to deliver results. And in a plain PPC search network, you're competing based on CPCs, not delivery. So you have a little bit more control over adjusting your CPCs and picking up more share of those queries that are coming through on sources you want. And then versus SEO or organic strategies, one, you should never choose between SEO and SEM. SEO definitely has its place. You need to be able to influence those crawlers, and it gets a ton of traffic. At the same time, so does your SEM results at the top line of those pages where there's 3 or more ads. They play off each other, and you should use them synonymously. You enhance your SEO by utilizing SEM in a lot of cases. Finding out what SEO type queries are driving traffic, and then be able to control your pricing and be a lot more aggressive on some of those queries where you find conversions by utilizing your SEM on those poems. And then you can measure the combined effectiveness of both. So where is the traffic coming from? It's pretty plain that on a proprietary search engine, it's the simple act most of us go through, some of us many, many times a day. It's going to Google, it's going to Microsoft, it's going to Yahoo, typing in a keyword or string of keywords and getting the results back. Now, in the PPC search ad network space, it's a lot of different sources of traffic are available to us. And that's where it comes in, just being able to see 2 billion plus queries every day at a company like LookSmart. That's how much other activity is going on out there beyond the big 2 engines. Some of it is from smaller publishers or search sites that are not large enough in daily volume to have direct relationships with a Google or a Yahoo through an affiliate partnership. They don't simply generate enough. I believe it's around 5,000 searches or so a month. So there's still people searching on very good targeted pages and getting search results. It gives the opportunity for LookSmart and others to compete for that same space as well, because it's a little under scale for a large partner like a Google. We get a lot of it from domains. So there's a lot of traffic available from domainers. And a lot of that is very good, solid traffic where people are definitely using the navigation bar instead of a search to type in different things, and that's where a domainer can come in and be able to provide a good experience and provide great ads with the right intent for people. Other networks. LookSmart itself has been practicing as a network of networks, where many other networks come to us because of our large aggregation of traffic and buy traffic from us to sell to their advertisers as well. And there's a lot of that goes on. So wherever you can find relevant clicks at the right price, a good network is going to go out and buy those clicks wherever they can and make sure the advertiser gets them. So networks get other traffic from other networks. From contextual placements, things like, let's say, Contera, for example. So mouse over a good keyword in a great text article, and you get a contextual placement come up with your PPC ad embedded in that contextual placement. Email, we've all seen email ads embedded in email. That's part of the distribution available to advertisers in the tier 2 space as well from many of the networks. as well as social media placements, whether contextual or typed in search with intent. So there's a lot of varied sources of all this traffic that LookSmart and other tier 2s get coming into us every day. We see all these queries, and then we have to decide which ones we respond to with different ads coming back. Excuse me. So why expand? And this has been coming up a lot lately, especially for me in my business, as the transition from 3 platforms out there to 2 major platforms has gone on. One of the big challenges was the amount of bandwidth an individual or a company had to manage search. It's an incredibly important part of any company's acquisition structure. And when you have 3 major players in descending order, but nonetheless 3 that really were controlling the marketplace, you can have very little bandwidth unless you have a huge search marketing department to be able to go out and work closely with 2 or 3 other vendors to wring the rest of the conversions out of what's out there. So right now is a great time, and a lot of people are coming out of the woods saying, well, now that I'm down to 2 platforms and the migration's gone well, I have an opportunity to work with some additional folks right now, and why should I be working with you? One, it gives you the additional reach and coverage beyond what's going on in the big 2. Tend to have much lower CPCs overall for the same keywords than the major search engines do. We are able to mine the opportunities out there for more leads and sales. That's really my biggest message, is wringing those things out of the rest of the network. And one big thing that attracted me to this role was the superior customer service. When you're not the big guy, you really have to work a lot harder than anyone else in terms of making customers happy. As you're probably starting to gather, there's a lot more moving parts behind driving a PPC network and getting results for it. And the companies that really do a great job and retain customers are the ones that are able to provide the account management, the editorial services, excuse me, to be able to draw that out of that network. So it's really also about, hey, what kind of services as a third party can you offer me as my vendor in this space to make sure I'm successful? And generally, you're going to find that anyone in the tier 2 space is going to really have to work a lot harder to earn and keep the business and make sure that they're delivering on a daily basis. So it's one of the things that I get a lot of comments on is, wow, we can't believe how great you guys are. You'll call us back right away. I wish Google would do the same thing. That's part of being in this space. You've got to hustle. So some of the challenges in expanding into search ad networks. Some of the things, and I want to leave you guys with a lot of this stuff, is, what should I be looking at when I vet these guys? And what are some of the things that I need to be aware of that are out there that I might not be aware of because I'm primarily working with the big 2 right now? And one of the first things is traffic quality. Will the traffic I receive be of the quality I want? It's a huge buzz out there. It's something that LookSmart works very closely on. I know a number of our competitors do as well. But what is the quality in there? How are you managing that quality? And we'll get into that a little bit more. But that's a big thing. What is your stand on quality, and how does your company treat quality of traffic listings out there? Who should I run with? Big question there. Do I have time, as I mentioned before, to manage another search account or multiple accounts and be able to wring this stuff out of there effectively? And also, is the customer service there from this vendor to help me do it so I'm not spending too much time doing that? Because at the end of the day, Google and Bing are going to drive the bulk of all the conversions. They need the most attention. After that, you need a network that's going to be able to help you make the most of your experience in the tier 2 space as well. And then is this ad network platform sophisticated enough to meet the needs that I have? How are the accounts structured? How is the bidding? What kind of controls do I have? One big thing in the tier 2 space is, am I able to block traffic that I don't want? Am I able to whitelist or make sure I'm on traffic and traffic sources I really do want? And will you give me help in doing that as well? So one of the things, as I go through this, I wanted to give kind of a checklist for people, or as you go out and start to explore the PPC ad network space or just the ad network space as a whole, here's some questions you should be asking as you go out and start talking to vendors out there in the marketplace about what we offer and what you guys are looking for. So when you start launching in these things, you're kind of going with someone that has enough of the basics and probably some more advanced stuff to be able to make your campaign work, and they'll stand behind it. So, big one. How long have you been in business? Ad networks are popping up all the time. There's tons of them out there. There's so many of them. So, how long the people have been in business? Are you a trusted source? Have you been around a while? Do you have a proven track record? Do you have some customer testimonials or information or case studies that might be relevant to my business or just your business in general as to how you worked with someone in a successful manner? These are great things to be asking of any of the ad networks you want to work from. You want to understand, oh good, it doesn't show up there. Do you want to understand, hey, are you guys here for 6 months and just getting into this? Do you have 13 years experience on the other side of that? Or are you somewhere in the middle? What can I expect? Have you been around for a while? Do you know the pitfalls? Have you worked through some of this stuff that's been in this industry for a while? It's important that you go with someone that has some experience out there, especially in the first rounds, because they're the ones who are going to be able to give you the most help and advice going into this thing, and then be able to understand how to optimize it best. Volume. How many queries do you process a day? That's one metric of it, but what you really want to be understanding, and I know that you can get these from the big ones, but you can also get them from many of the small ones, is this worth my while? I'm going out and I'm going to look at a bunch of these networks, and I could get down to it and like this guy a lot, and oh, he's got a great pitch, and boy, what a great stuff, and I'm all hyped, and he's going to deliver, and then I turn out and I get 10 queries a day on my keywords. I saw some head shaking. It happens. What is the real volume? Can the network tell you what is the real opportunity for your business? Can I take your keyword list that you're using on Google and be able to tell you, hey, here's how many raw queries I'm getting a day against these keywords. Here's average bid pricing in different segments of my network for different types of traffic. What can they tell you about that? And at the end of the day, you need, as you look at these, to go with a vendor or vendors that have some volume there. It's not going to be Google volume. It's not going to be Bing, Yahoo volume. It's going to be smaller volumes. But when you compare apples to apples in the Tier 2 space, you're going to have a lot more success and a lot more opportunity to say, get 10 good leads a day out of a Tier 2 relationship as opposed to maybe one, based on the fact that someone's got 10,000 searches on your primary stuff versus 1,000 a day. It's pretty common sense, but a lot of people jump in with a lot of bells and whistles and, oh yeah, we got this, and look at our functionality. At the end of the day, it's number of times that query occurs, how do I get in front of the right users who are querying at that time and make sure I'm paying the right price on that ad so that when they click through, I'm hitting my ROI goal or exceeding it. Platform capabilities. We're very used to some very robust platform capabilities when we're working with the big two right now. Does the platform that the Tier 2 vendor have mirror some of these or most all of these qualities? Does it provide things like conversion tracking right within the platform? So a lot of systems have it, some don't. Can I pixel with your pixel and send that data back into your interface and be able to manage out of it? Can I link into an API so that I can pass data back from my third party? What's the easiest way to get conversion data or conversion tracking involved as part of the process and part of running my account with that vendor? Geo-targeting. Some of the basic stuff, but for many people it's extremely important with geophysical locations to make sure that their ads are targeted in the right geos. How robust is the geo-targeting? How is it done down to what level? And primarily, is it available and how functional is it? As we look at day parting, I think it can be very important, especially in working in the Tier 2 space. Day parting allows you, as everyone probably knows, to only run ads during certain parts of the day. Well, when you're in the Tier 2 space and you're really trying to make the most out of what your marketing budget is or your search budget is, it gives you that opportunity to be able to shrink down the hours to the most likely to convert type hours and not waste clicks, waste traffic during other times. Site level targeting and budget capping. Probably a newer concept to some of you who haven't been in the space before, in the Tier 2 space, but one of the things that a good Tier 2 vendor and platform will allow you to be able to do is target only certain sections or certain, even down to the referrer level within their network where you may find extremely strong high conversion rates so that you can actually go in there and say, hey, I really want more traffic from this one, and this one, but maybe I don't want traffic from these other three because I'm really not getting any conversions there. Gives you the ability to hone in and block those things. It's not an invisible or even an opaque marketplace. You're able to see where the conversions are coming from and then be able to work with that vendor and work through the platform to hone in and even bid higher and put more budget against certain areas in that network you find to have the best performance. And ad rotation. Something we talked about a little bit ago in the basics, but hey, does this platform allow me to do comparative ad testing? Can I run A/B copy testing? Can I do conversion-based testing? Does it have some of that basic stuff in this platform? You'll find a great disparity in platforms out there as you go through the Tier 2 space in terms of what functionality exists, but it also can be about what type of traffic that company is primarily monetizing as well, determines how they build out their platform. Optimization strategy, big one. As you're initiating something with one of the networks, how will you help me maximize my ROI? A great term that a client gave me very early on when I was at LookSmart, he just basically said to me, he goes, I don't care about how you're doing it behind the scenes, but I just want you to pull the diamonds out of all this dirt for me. How are you guys going to do that? I love that statement. So it's about traffic segmentation. Can the vendor segment their traffic? We saw that it's from so many different sources, and some work great for some offers and products, some are lousy for it, while others are great for other offers and products, and some are lousy for it. Can that vendor help you segment that stuff so that you're on the right types of traffic sources? How much visibility do I get to performance through tools integration? Can I integrate my own tools into through an API connection? How do we do reporting things back and forth? Mining strategies. How do I grow my business, and how do we continue to mine this network for new opportunities for me to be growing my business? You don't just want to put things up there, let them run, sit there. It's important, especially in the Tier 2 space, to be mining. New sources come into the available amount of traffic for these networks all the time. And sometimes sources disappear or even move from one publisher to another, which can be sort of the tricky part. A good network will keep track of those sources that work for you and keep you mapped to them, move you around, and keep you through an account management connection, understanding what's going on with your leads on a daily basis and what these sources are doing. The other big part of that is, will you help me with a mining strategy? I might have a nice core base account going where I know I'm getting my conversions and I've got things set pretty well. Now, how do I have a strategy with you guys to mine the rest of your network for additional conversions and quality refers to be able to put into my core accounts? And then the learning and growing part. If you're going to invest your time into the traffic and the platform, is that vendor going to invest in you guys as a client? Are you going to provide proactive suggestions? Are you going to provide account management services to help me learn the platform, make advanced changes that I need to do, or strategize with me over it? Network quality, huge thing out there today, and very important for everyone. It's about traffic quality. It's about keeping bots out of there. It's about keeping hijackers out of there. It's about keeping malware and adware out of there. It's about a lot of different things, and it's kind of a game of whack-a-mole, as most people know, in terms of constantly trying to keep ahead of what those folks are doing out there that are kind of the ne'er-do-wells, I guess I'll call them for a nice word, but the people out there spamming and doing bad things. So big question is, what are you doing? How do you filter, or do you filter what would be considered invalid traffic? And if so, how do you guys do that? What kind of systems do you use? What kind of screening takes place before you add a new distribution partner to your network? This is a great question because it gives you, as an advertiser, some insight into the philosophy of that company and their network distribution team as to what kind of partners they're adding and how they're vetting publishers and the quality of that traffic that they've decided to add to the network and potentially expose you to. So it can give you a better feel for how that company is performing and how that company actually feels about quality traffic and the responsibility of making sure that they're doing everything they can to do that. And then along those lines, are they working with any of the reputable third parties, the Click Forensics, the Anchor Intelligences out there? Do you have a relationship there? Will you work with my information if I'm a Click Forensics or an AI customer? What other platforms are out there, and how do we interact with them as a PPC third-party vendor in the Tier 2 space? Great questions to ask and want to have a good understanding. It's especially important if you have some sort of a brand behind you. Bad traffic into a branded type of site can be a nightmare. If you're an agency or someone, you have a client downstream, you want to be sure that you're working with a vendor who not only is doing everything they can up front to help police and filter that traffic for you, but also, if there ever is a problem, is going to be there with you and not run and hide. Not just say, it's a traffic blip, it's this. Someone who will actually fix it and wants to keep your business and make good on any issues you may have with it, while also continue to improve their own platform and that filtering. So you want to find a reputable partner, as you do in any business relationship. Service. I mentioned it before. It's really important, well, at LookSmart anyway, and I know some of our competitors feel the same way, is you've got to out-hustle. We are not the 800-pound gorillas in the room at this point. So when people want to engage with a LookSmart or any of the other ones, we've got to do much more to get that business going, make sure it's working well, and treat those customers, you folks, really well. It's our bread and butter, it's our livelihood, and any good company will treat a customer as though they can't afford to ever lose that customer. In the Tier 2 space, it's especially important because there's a lot of moving parts to it. You want to have a great relationship there, but at the same time, the winners in that space will be the ones who say, hey, we know it's hard to do. We're going to make it as easy as possible for you, and you got a direct contact to an account management resource. You've got someone who's watching your accounts on a daily basis. They know your goals. If you're sharing conversion information, they can go so far as to make optimizations for you and continue to keep it on your ROI path. So the service is really big in this space, and it takes a little bit more to make these campaigns work. So expect and demand a little bit more from that vendor than that third party. Basic things. Do you offer account management services, or is someone just dumping you into a throw my credit card in there and do it all yourself online platform? Do you have a customer support line? Or even going beyond that, do I have my own personally assigned account manager and potentially salesperson out there in the field that work together on the benefit of my account and offer me guidance, strategies, suggestions, and tactical implementations? Do you have a team in place there, analysts, whatever the company might call them, with the account managers to help analyze those accounts and make suggestions, not only in terms of network mapping for the traffic and bid changes, but also new keywords and things? Are you going to be able to help me grow my business with you guys, as it's a little bit different ecosystem than I'm used to working in? The other thing, too, is the business end of it. What kind of payment options do people have? Can you run off a credit card? Can you get lines of credit? What are the terms? How do you handle any kind of disputes? Understanding some of that stuff up front can be really helpful, especially if you ever get into a situation where you want to be establishing credit, getting a line of credit with these companies. All those things should be available to you with a good, reputable third-party vendor in the Tier 2 space. They should be running like any other business out there. So good things to ask if you don't want to just be on a credit card. So, as I conclude today, I wanted to give you guys some key takeaways before we go on to some Q&A here. Search ad networks, they provide a significant volume and opportunity for advertisers like yourselves to diversify beyond the big two and go out and start wringing some diamonds out of the dirt out in the rest of the space. You kind of get to the point where you feel like maybe I've maxed out, I've got all my keywords in the big two. Are there some little tricks that I'm going to get 10 more conversions out of it every day other than the volume simply going up or down? Here's a great opportunity to be able to go out and be proactive about finding 2 or 3 vendors in this space that have significant volume and go out there and start getting 10, 20, 30 additional conversions a day, especially with ones that can help you do that as painlessly and with as little bit of time management on your side as possible. Adhere to the basics and master the basics. Go back, when you get back to wherever you're from today, and take a look at your keywords and your lists and think about the last time you actually went through there and weeded them through and made some changes or freshened them up a little bit, put some calls to action in there, made sure your pages are linking right. It's always a good practice. So as it's the beginning of the year, a good time to just go through there and see what you're doing and potentially come up with some B-side copy to run in conjunction with it and do some testing and see if you can't lift your CTR and lift the conversions at the same time with simply slightly adjusted or better copy with a better call to action. Track and optimize your key metrics. It's this space, this business is all about optimization, and optimization based on knowledge of where your conversions are coming from and at what price. So don't vary from that. Always keep sticking to that. It's a great basic. Always keep testing. And then, importantly, vet a potential search ad network or third parties such as LookSmart or other ones for the reach that they have, for their quality, as well as what their quality standards are. Look at their platform features, understand how their ad server, their UI systems are working, and will they work well with the way you like to work? Will they give you what you need in terms of the functionality? And also importantly, what's the customer service like? I don't want to get into a platform, start doing some things, spend a little money, and then all of a sudden feel like I'm abandoned. Do I have a customer service contact, a sales contact? Do I have people at the company working on my behalf and looking out for me and my interests and making sure my campaign works right every day in terms of ROI and quality so that not only can the company keep your business, but you want to keep doing business and finding more avenues to continue to grow your business with that company. And that wraps up my presentation today. Again, I'm Gill Brown. I'm with LookSmart, and I'd be happy, we can't have leave behinds at these things, but I'd be happy to send any of you kind of the checklist that I went through of things that you can ask and should be looking out for when you venture out from the big two and look into this third-party Tier 2 PPC search network space. Happy to do that. So go ahead and just reach out and get in touch with me, or come up afterwards and grab a card or leave me a card afterwards. And love to take any questions or comments and discussion from all of you now. Do I go back to that second page, sir? Tweet away. Twitter. Ask a question. I like old-fashioned. Sweet.
Can you talk about the LookSmart keyword tool as far as, does it show estimated number of queries, similar to Google keyword tool, and sort of category segmenting as far as what percent of the network pushes financial keyword traffic, that kind of stuff?
Good question. He's asking about LookSmart's keyword suggestion tool and the functionality of that tool. It primarily gives more general information. It doesn't go as deep into our categorical stuff. We tend to take those queries in. That's kind of a free tool out there on our site. What we tend to look to do with each customer is do more of a custom lookup for them, because we have editorial resources, and that is where we'll get very deep into query volume by segment. At my company, we segment out our traffic across 3 specific different quality volumes. There's premium, there's what we call value traffic, and then there's volume, very low price, very high volume. And they're used for different things. So we segment those out as well as the verticals, plus do new keyword suggestions there.
One more thing. Do you have a minimum cost per click?
The question was, do we have a minimum cost per click? No, it's a penny on our systems. But I will say that a penny is going to get you some pretty funky traffic sometimes. A penny isn't a penny as it used to be in the old days. We go down to, we can do in fractions of cents. I don't advise using low bids for anyone who's interested in actually selling things or generating lead traffic. Traffic for a penny, 2 cents is used for other things. It's used for generating high visitor counts to publishers that want to expand what they're doing in terms of number of monthly uniques, things like that. It can drive a lot of good, solid traffic that way cheaply, but we don't tend to find, and I kind of sort of as many conversions in that traffic as we do things that are more moderately priced. So anywhere from 5 to 25 cents in terms of keywords that are going to get traction and have delivery of conversions, leads, ROI. And then in certain particular keyword segments that, anywhere are going to be very high. We have keywords in the $1, $2, $3 range on some of those. But that's few and far between in the Tier 2 space. It's much more in that sweet spot of anywhere in the 20 to 30 cent range, depending on what the product and what the service is and how much competition's there. Yeah. Any other questions? Or? Yes. Good, very good question. This question is, is sort of a statement too that as he's tried some tier 2 vendors in the past, he started upside down. You start with some money out there, you get ROI negative fairly quickly, especially if you're spending a decent amount of money. And how would I describe more of an ideal start to a campaign? And I'm going to put this in, this is me and this is kind of LookSmart, but the way that I like to approach it and the way that we like to approach it right now, especially with this segment, we consider this conversion-based advertising. And so for conversion-based advertisers, we look to start small, budgets no more than $40, $50 a day to start. A best practice we have is to clone the account. So what we like to do is say, okay, we've got our ultra premium segment of traffic. So we're going to take your keyword list, make an account, we're going to target it to only our ultra premium traffic, and we're going to run that very slowly. We're going to have a bunch of sources in there. We're going to be able to track them because hopefully we have a pixel placed so we understand where conversions are coming from, or we have a very quick feedback loop in place. And we'll start very slow, $40, $50 a day max is where I like to start at. Get some learning going. Where are these conversions? Are they coming from these different areas? Because what that then allows LookSmart or other networks to do is target in on only running in those areas and then blocking other areas where, let's say you've gotten 20, 30, 50 clicks, no conversions. Let's not keep using that stuff. Let's get out of there right now and focus over here where you've had 20 clicks and 2 conversions. Maybe we can improve that by raising the bids a little bit, but start small and do learnings. At the same time, have a mining campaign. So we have a core campaign and a mining campaign. They're the exact same, but once you've got sources that are converting well for you, you keep them in that core campaign. It's a nice stable base, you know what you're doing with it, and you adjust your budgets up and down accordingly to manage your ROI. In the mining campaign, you put a little bit of money over there, and then you let other sources come in there and see if you can find some conversions. When you find a good source in that mining campaign, you move it over. You move it over into your core campaign and continue to run it as normal. So that's how I like to run any kind of a conversion-based account. It's counterintuitive to sales, but I'm looking for long-term, not I want $500 for 3 days from you and never hear from you again. And I see a lot of that out there, but that's the best way to start. It's a test, find some results, expand on those, and test some more. But don't start with a budget up here. Start with a budget down here and go in slowly. And in my opinion, any reputable network or seller or account manager is going to be able to say, yeah, that's a very sound strategy. That's the best way to do it. It's the ones that come in and say, oh, I want to spend $3,000 a day. Let's start tomorrow. Here we go. Whoa, we better hope that we get enough learnings in there very quickly to optimize that, or as you say, you start out upside down pretty quickly, and it's very difficult to dig a hole out that way, dig out from under that hole. Does that kind of give you a base answer? Or? Anyone else? Okay. Well, I'm not seeing anything on the tweets. So thank you all for coming, and please stay behind, come up and meet me if you'd like to, and ask me any questions you have, and I'm happy to get in touch with you afterwards too. Thanks.